So Bitcoin's been struggling. Now, there's a reason why it's hovering just around 40,000 or why it's bouncing off 40,000. I think every investor, whether you're into charts or not, you need to know this stuff. So take a look at this trend line, right? If I just start from the beginning of the move and connect it right through this low here, look at where that line goes. It goes right to where we currently are hovering. In addition, if you take this little line here and stretch it across, it matches right there as well. And again, just to be clear, when we had this big dump, notice how price went to 40,000, pulled back, went to 40,000, pulled back, and then went to 40,000 and finally broke out here. So that tells you that there's a level there that needs to be monitored. And that's exactly where we've kind of hovered. Having said that, again, shorter term, I think you could get a small bounce in Bitcoin, maybe back to 46,000 or so. But I do think eventually this level breaks as the markets go lower. And you can see it right now, folks. A lot of people kind of were skeptical when I said a deleveraging in the market would affect Bitcoin, but you can absolutely see it. Almost every day the stock market gets hit, you see Bitcoin dropping pretty precipitously as well. And again, look at the performance of Bitcoin, down 30, 40% this year, or really just since October, I should say. And the stock market's only corrected about 10%. So if the stock market does another 10%, where does that put Bitcoin? I have it priced in to go sub 20,000 before all is said and done.
Hold up, sub 20,000. So we were talking about 20,000. Now you're talking about sub 20,000. What changed for you?
Yeah, so it's just looking at the metrics, the performance of Bitcoin, and looking. And listen, I don't necessarily know if it's 19,000 or 17,000 or somewhere in there, but I do think it at least pierces 20,000. I don't think much below that. I'll be a big buyer as soon as we get close to 20,000 and then all the way below that, because I remain a long-term huge bull. I love what we're seeing with NFTs, even though I think NFTs are a bubble. I think there's a future there after it bursts. And I think that, again, the blockchain getting involved with so many big companies and you know, Block now, Square changing its name, and Jack Dorsey getting more and more involved. And obviously we know Elon Musk and some of these other players, but there is a big future for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. You just have to see a washout. The Fed created this bubble in assets, including cryptocurrency and the stock market. There has to be a washout. And what I always want to stress to investors is that there's always places to invest. So I don't like the overall indexes like the NASDAQ, the S&P 500. I don't like the cryptos right now for a longer term trade. I don't like real estate because interest rates are moving up and prices have gone up too far, too fast. But there are stocks to get involved in here. So, you know, I think even the last time we were on, I talked about Chinese names. All right. Chinese names that have been beaten down already. They've already had their bear market. They've already had their winter, if you will. And if you look at the chart here on like something like Pinduoduo, which topped out north of 200, it's had this beautiful pullback to basically, I think it got down to about $45. And then look at what's happened in January. All of a sudden, you're back to $66 on the chart here. And a lot of these Chinese stocks, with the regulation fears in 2021, they got crushed. Now the valuations are epically good, and you have to start thinking in those respects. Now, there are other areas too for near-term traders. Like I am long some stocks, and I'll tell you guys some of them right now. So like Square has it's dropped almost in a straight line from 270 down to 130. I think it's going to bounce. Affirm, AFRM, dropping from 175 down to 65 down here. You have some major technical support right in here. There's a bounce there. Now, I wouldn't stick around in Affirm for months, but do I think it's going to bounce 20% in the next couple of weeks? Yeah, I do. Same thing with Square. Same thing with, you know, different ones like AI. And let me think of some others. Peloton's actually having a really nice bounce today too. So what I'm doing here is I'm becoming more of a trader. And look at that move on Peloton, back to 32 today. That's a great move, 6% on the day alone. But you can actually make some really good money by trading this type of environment where stocks are getting crushed. And then when they hit key support, just play them for a bounce and then get out. What's wrong with making 10 to 20% in a week or two and then stepping back to the sidelines? So I think you have to think in that respect, gold miners, gold, and then play different stocks in different areas that haven't been already beaten down to kind of relentless levels.
Speaking of stocks, just sidetracking, have you owned Activision at all? It got bought out recently by Microsoft. I'm only bringing it up because you're sitting in a gaming chair, so I assume you might have been invested at one point.
You know what? I wish that I had it. I did not have it. I wish I did.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
But again, think about why Microsoft did that, right? It wasn't just the gaming side; it's the the metaverse side, the kind of the blockchain side, the NFT side. So this is just one more thing. While I may, and many people are watching this and saying, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe he's saying it's Bitcoin's going to sub 20,000." But when you see the moves like Microsoft are doing in this area, it means that there is a future. And remember, Amazon in 2000 was trading sky high in the .coms. It dropped 95% in the next few years. And look at where it is now. It went down to $5. So again, big falls in solid things are not a bad thing. It gives you an opportunity to invest at lower levels.
That's a great point you brought up about the metaverse. I'm really excited to see what Microsoft's going to do with Activision and its IP. Activision owns some of, my personal favorite games, World of Warcraft, Diablo. I haven't played those in a while, but imagine if you could create a virtual reality of those games where you enter and play as an avatar with a virtual reality headset and just control it with your body movements instead of a mouse and keyboard. That would be huge. I think that would be the next evolution. Yeah.
It absolutely is coming. And I'll just say this, folks, is that, a year ago or so, there were so many companies like Tesla that were buying Bitcoin. And then after you got some blowback about how much energy was being used by the mining of Bitcoin, a lot of these companies stepped on the sidelines. They also saw how volatile Bitcoin can be, right? It went from 65,000 in April to 30,000, then to 69,000, now back down to 40. So what they're doing is what Microsoft is doing, which is really smart. They're buying companies that get them exposure in the sector versus just investing in Bitcoin. So I think Microsoft made like $65 billion last year. And that basically they just took 1 year of earnings and bought Activision. And here they are with now a good foothold in this new area.
Let's sum up for the audience. You are short-term bearish on Bitcoin, short-term bearish on the stock markets. Well, the overall index, not specific stocks. You mentioned those plays that you like. You mentioned that you like gold. So if you were to pick an asset class that you think will have the biggest upside move this year, what is it?
I'm still if you're taking Bitcoin, the stock market, or gold, I'm still taking gold for 2022. If you want to look at specific sectors, I think the Chinese stocks and maybe South American stocks could actually outperform even gold to the upside this year. But again, if between those three, it's gold.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much, much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow. in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.